One of the things I want to talk about today is how the PSNI know so little about the past history of South Armagh. And just to give you one quick example, a certain individual who the PSNI say is an upstanding member of the community and a law-abiding citizen was actually got 6 months in jail for activity that he was involved in. He had all his assets seized off him, and while he was in jail he actually attacked a prison officer and got his sentence increased. They even took the vehicles off this individual because the case was so severe that he was up for, and basically it was to do with fraud, ripping off local businessmen. 715, which 715 is a tax exemption certificate that is given whereby if you're subcontracted into somebody. Now this individual has claimed to be an upstanding member of the community. Well, when he worked in one of his major contracts in Belfast, he actually ripped off the people in the houses where he was doing the contract because he was working along with an individual called Jimmy Craig. He was the local extortionist, and this was the individual who, after having a member of his family killed by loyalists, he was quite happy to work along with him when it came to money. Now, his case was so severe that he had to clear when he got out over the border, and he actually ended up in the liquor business. But while he was there, he ended up falling out with the local IRA, and he ended up having to clear out of there back to where he come from. Now, people say, well, what's this got to do with victims? Well, this man was involved in creating victims. And it's unfortunate what happened to his family, but perhaps if he looks at his own background, these paramilitaries would not have been at his door if he hadn't been up to the activities that he was up to. Now, I'm not going to start and get into individual cases. My argument here is why the PSNI stood up for this man. Why did they back him? Knowing well that he had done time in jail, knowing well that he ripped off businesses in the local area, knowing well that he ripped off the taxmen to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of pounds, even to the extent where they took the very car off him. Now, it just goes to show you how twisted things are in Northern Ireland when people as corrupt as that can stand up and talk about collusion, can stand up and criticise policemen and say that they were involved in this and involved in that, when knowing quite rightly that they weren't. But it's not hard to be a liar when you're a hypocrite or when you're involved in fraud. Basically, you're a common criminal. So things like this doesn't surprise us. Now he talks about what he's found out. Well, we've found out quite a bit about this certain individual. Not only him, but a number of his associates in that area who have been involved in condemning local members of the security forces when their agenda is basically a Republican one, and that is to try and discredit the local security forces. At the end of the day, if you're going to tell lies, you need to have a very good memory. And unfortunately for this man, when he was telling lies, he forgot sometimes what the lies was that he'd already told. Well, I've assured the families that he has run down and that he's tried to blacken the name of their loved ones, that we will put the record straight, and that we will do. No more is Republicans getting away with telling stories and out and out lies and portraying themselves as decent, upstanding members of the community when all they are is basic rogues. There's a number of other things in South Armagh. South Armagh is notorious for the smuggling. It's notorious for other things like machinery being stole and moved on, machinery being financed by certain individuals. We have stories of one piece of machinery to the tune of 150,000 was financed at least 7 times the same bit of machinery. Now some of these individuals are the same people who are upstanding members of the community, but we intend to expose that. We intend to put egg in these people's faces and show them what they really are, and that is basically a bunch of criminals. This is one of the reasons why we won't support a Truth Commission in Northern Ireland, because you have hypocrites like this who are Republicans and are prepared to stand up and say that they're law-abiding citizens, even though they have a sentence behind them, even though they've been found guilty of all these charges, and even though their people in the local community know the type of individual they are. We are asked to believe that these people are going to stand up and tell the truth. Don't think so. These boys are nothing but a bunch of hypocrites, a bunch of liars, and a bunch of criminals. And there's no way, and I hope Mr. Eames and Bradley takes this serious, and I believe they have. I don't think a Truth Commission will happen in Northern Ireland for a number of reasons, but for that one in particular. These people are nothing but a bunch of scum. And how can ordinary law-abiding citizens from both sides of the community be asked to believe people like this here? You can't. And that's why the Truth Commission will not work in Northern Ireland. No matter how they try to twist it or turn it, it won't be acceptable. Because we have seen their lies, we have listened to their lies, and these are people who are not strangers to us. They're people we know and know very well, and they can stand and tell you how great a neighbour you are. At the same time, they could be stealing your car out of the yard or out of your from your home. 2 minutes later, you know, they've murdered their loved ones, when at the same time they were giving them lifts in the car or helping each other on the farms. So a Truth Commission will never work in Northern Ireland.